Excellent. All right, welcome all. Thank you very much. Joining us, we've got a good evening planned for this evening. Won't hear much from me. We'll be pleased to hear. We're going to recap on what we did last week. So we'll have a run through on launching and recovering, and then we'll go on to some more videos. We've sorted out the sound. We hope if you can't hear, do give us a wave or a messaging through Zoom, or give Harry a nudge and he'll turn up the sound in the room. Questions, please feel free to ask at any point. Certainly when the video is running, we can pause that. So do give us a nudge. We're quite happy to stop that halfway through, and we can answer questions. We'll wait to the end, and then we'll answer the questions as we go along. So without further ado, we shall get on and move on. Harry, you are up first with the recap on launching. So I'll let you get on with that, sir.
Okay. Okay, so this is the mainly recapping on the video we watched last week. So apologies if you haven't seen that video yet, about launching the laser dinghy, primarily the craft that was launching. Really important to check the wind direction. So we talked about looking at flags, burges, which are kind of like a wind direction on top of the mast, asking people, looking at the waves, etc., because depending on the wind direction really is where you want to see where the no-go zone is, because that's where the boat's not going to go in. So if you've got an onshore breeze, the boat's not going to go anywhere if you point it into wind, and actually conversely it's not going to try and sail away. So you're always trying to keep when you're launching and you're preparing yourself, you're always trying to keep the boat pointing into wind. And we're assuming our sails are up at this point as well already, so we won't talk about rigging. So enter the trolley into the water, bow, head to wind. Let's point the boat into the wind. Hold it by the painter. Painter is a rope attached to the bow. So if you've got a painter, that's good for recovery and just controlling the boat and grabbing hold of it. If not, the bow or the forestay, which is the wire that runs from the top of the mast to the front of the boat. Talking about having the centreboard ready.
Harry, just before you move on from there, I just wanted to add a piece which was around. So the first week we heard from people who had attended Cadet Week and wanted to do more and help out more. And when we sort of covered this last week, something that stuck in my mind was when we had Cadet Week, parents were in the water and wanted to hold the boat. They want to make it safe for the children. And a lot of them would stand and hold the boat by the side. And because the boom was flapping about, they would then start to hold the boom. And obviously then it catches the wind and it starts to move. And I remember having this conversation with a few of the parents in our group, just saying, if you hold it by the bow and head to wind, yes, it will flap about a little bit, but that's going to be a lot safer for you and everybody else, rather than trying to, hold the sail, hold the middle of the boat, and then it all starts moving away from you. So I thought that was a really good point about just hold it from the bow. It will pivot if you're head to wind. And then it's nice and safe for people to get in and out.
Yeah, forward of the mast as well, if you didn't quite hear Chris there as well. And on and off on the windward side. Taking that from Chris from last week as well. So it just quickly talks about centreboard being ready. That's out of the boat or it retracted in if it pivots. Rudder halfway just for a bit of steerage. That's what you'll put down once you're underway. The main sheet, so this is the rope that controls your main sail. So in a single-handed boat, usually you've just got one sail to control. And what we're saying there is it's not flapping around everywhere, or it's not somewhere it might trip you up, get caught up. So just make sure it's not cleated. And by cleated, I mean in the jaws of something that will trap it and not move it, because you'll have that on some boats where you can lock it in place. So it's free to run, but it's called up in a nice way. And then most importantly, check you're not going to hit anyone or anything when you launch. Pause for any other. And windward side. Boarding and leaving the windward side. So we go to the next one. Oh, points of sailing. Okay, right. So just quickly, we're always recapping on the points of sailing. So in this picture, the wind's coming from the top of the screen. that angle you can see there in the black, that is your no-go zone. The boat will not make way. It will not go forward to that. So the nearest point of sail is what we call close hauled. And as we go further off the wind, as we say in terminology, so we start to turn the boat more and further off the wind. You go close hauled to a close reach, to a beam reach, to a broad reach. And then finally, when you're completely what we call running downwind with your back to the wind. Now, there are ways that you use your controls to trim the sails, which I won't go into here, but that is how you change your sails depending on the point of sail. And a starboard tack, which is shown here in the green, has the right of way on a port tack if you're on different tacks coming against each other. But usually starboard, which is the green point of sail there, usually has all the rights. It gets more complex with racing and other bits and pieces. But
actually,
on that,
yes, we're just a quick one on that. And going back to sailing etiquette, then if you're not racing, somebody else is, kind of regardless of who's on what tack. It's nice to keep out of the way of people who are racing and keep out of being upwind of people who are racing as well, because you'll be stealing some of their wind, and they might not be very happy about it. Okay, so upwind would be where the wind's coming from, so above them. That probably doesn't help much either. Okay, so consider that picture as a compass. North of them.
We'll use diagrams at some stage on that one. But yeah, okay. I do, yeah, actually is in the bag. Sorry, next slide, please, Scott, unless any questions. Right. Recovering. So again, wind direction is really important. So this is in, if you want to slow down, but mainly when you've come into the beach or the pontoon or the jetty, you're going to end up wanting to point your boat into wind because that'll stop it. It'll lose all power there. As you're coming in, approaching the shore, you want to, again, we won't go into technical details of that, but, generally get slower. So it's usually ease your main sheet, but if there's a strong wind from behind, again, you might have to think about it.
Have a practice before you get all the way.
Yeah, so Chris is just saying having a practice run when you come in. Yeah.
Slow the boat down.
Yeah.
See what the wave and everything's doing.
Yeah. So a practice run, if you're not confident of launching, recovering, always a practice run. You can always bail out. I know people in bigger boats do this when they're trying to moor up and things. They go around. If they don't like it, they'll just go around again. There's no rush. You want to bring in your centreboard, retract it or pull it in if it's a dagger board, because you're not going to want that to basically ground as you come in. So you want to retract that and also move your rudder up halfway. So it's important to come in slow and just, gently ease these things up. Again, looking for not to hit anyone or anything. And then when you can see it's shallow enough to come out, you get out on the windward side. And then you'll be looking to hold, get the boat pointing into wind, holding on the bow of the painter. It says here, ask a friend to retrieve your trolley. So hopefully if you've gone out sailing for your first time or first couple of times, someone knows and they'll be hanging around to look. There's a lot of people sailing on the beach sailing off this beach on race day. So, yes, on the. Chris, just talk, Chris.
I don't know. Can you? No. What was I going to say?
Sorry, coming into the recovering, coming in and retrieve the trolley.
Oh, yeah, trolley. Yes, trolley. So it's very important, if you're going to ask someone to retrieve your trolley, that you've got it well marked. So that, not just, it's the rusty one. Because there'll be a few of them. So, yeah, make sure up by the handles, they're all it's well marked with your name and your boat number and class, preferably. You should have one for being in the dinghy part, possibly. No, you won't. So yeah, put a tag on the front of your trolley, just cable tie it on so that everyone can tell whose it is.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. Any pause and questions, comments? No. Sounds like we're on to a video then, Scott. Sounds like you're playing a computer.
Wait for a second, just whilst I get the sound to work. Should work.
Yeah, we can hear you now. We just tested this and it worked.
She said she was got worse up, isn't it?
Yeah, good. It did literally work.
You get through past it. One or two. Should say that.
Okay, we'll have to read it.
Let's load lines.
Are you not getting any sound your end?
This training video, you'll learn the basic steps of how to tack
Yeah, very quiet.
Actually, had it been.
Yeah.
It's got words you can.
Yeah,
You can all read.
We'll just read it.
Oh, we could not read it.
Bear with me for a second whilst I get this thing. Going.
Talk through it. So Scott, we can just play it as it was last time.
Sharing the screen. No, we just got that link straight away anyway. If you've got the presentation, haven't you?
Oh, that's plan B.
Training video, you'll learn the basic steps of how to tack a single-handed dinghy. Tacking allows you to turn the boat around by turning across the wind. This video concentrates on sailing towards the wind on the close In this training video, you'll learn the basic steps of how to tack a single-handed dinghy. Tacking allows you to turn the boat around by turning across the wind. This video concentrates on sailing towards the wind on the close-hauled point of sailing. If you want to sail towards the wind, you must be able to tack the boat. You'll be unable to point your boat directly into the wind as the sails won't work. The sails only start to work if you remain outside a zone which is 45 degrees either side of where the wind is blowing from. The area marked in grey is called the no-go zone, and the point of sailing you need to establish is called close hauled. Here both sails are pulled in hard and they're not flapping. And by probing with the tiller to find the point where the sail just starts to flap, you're on the edge of the no-go zone. Each tack takes the nose of the boat from one side of the no-go zone through the eye of the wind and out onto the edge of the no-go zone on the other side.
Be on the lookout for square, crunchy shells with a creamy, nutty filling.
Progressive tacks allow you to zigzag your way towards your destination upwind, and together a series of tacks is called beating. It's a good idea to first practice on dry land to get a feel for the manoeuvre. Place some old tyres under the back of the boat to support your weight and climb in. No need to have the sail hoisted. Tie a piece of rope around the mast to hold the boom up high and ask a friend to mimic the wind by pushing the boom backwards and forwards across the boat. The first step is to take a good look around and check the area is all clear. Assuming it is, prepare to lead with your back foot to ensure you face forwards throughout the manoeuvre and release a bit of main sheet. This will slow you down and make it easier to duck under the boom. Next, push the tiller gently towards the sail. Try to push the tiller from the very end of the tiller extension like this, as it'll make things easier later on. Ask your friend to push the boom across, and then you duck under the boom and move across to the new side of the boat and sit down as far forward as you can, with the tiller extension behind your back. Straighten the tiller. Next, you should swap hands. Taking the hand holding the main sheet back to the tiller extension, grab it with your thumb pointing towards the end of the extension like this. You should then release the tiller extension from behind your back and rotate it under your arm and grab the main sheet with your front hand. Resume the dagger grip once more and you're now ready to pull the sail in again. Having perfected your land drill technique, let's go afloat. Establish yourself on the close hauled point of sailing. The mainsail should be pulled in tight with the front edge not flapping. By using the tiller gently, probe the edge of the no-go zone until you're happy you've found this point. The tiller extension is in the dagger grip in front of your body, and the main sheet is in your front hand, like this. The whole manoeuvre will take you through about 90 degrees, and you'll end up sailing towards a point that's somewhere behind your back. It's worth taking a quick look to identify a new target. This will help to stop you becoming disorientated when you're moving about in the boat. The first step is to take a good look around and check the area is all clear. If it's not clear, then wait until it is. Assuming it is, prepare to step across the boat, leading with your back foot. Release about 1 meter of main sheet to slow you down and make it easier to get under the boom. And gently push the tiller away from you towards the boom. the boat will immediately start to turn. As the boom moves across, you duck under the boom and step across the boat. Don't worry if the sail flaps noisily here, this is normal. Sit down on the new side as far forward as you can and straighten the tiller from behind your back. Next, you should swap hands by taking the hand holding the main sheet to the tiller extension like this. And then let go of the tiller extension from behind your back and rotate it under your arm. And position it back in front of your body. Grab the main sheet with your front hand, resuming the dagger grip once more. Pull the sail in tight and find the point where the sail just stops flapping. Now you're on the end of the no-go zone once more. Let's look again, going the other way. Sailing along on the close hold point of sailing with the sail pulled in tight, probe the tiller to find the edge of the no-go zone. Look around to identify a new target point and check that the area is clear from any obstructions. Releasing about 1 meter of main sheet, gently push the tiller towards the boom. As the boat turns, duck and move across back foot first. Once the boom has moved across and the boat has turned out of the no-go zone on the new side, sit down, straighten the tiller behind your back, and then swap hands and resume the dagger grip once more like this. Pull the main sail in and look to find the edge of the no-go zone once more until the front edge of the sail doesn't flap. Let's take a bird's eye view. Look around, push, step, duck, sit, straighten, swap, dagger grip, pull in. Common mistakes. If you plan to sail towards the wind, then you must start the maneuver from the close hold point of sailing like this to allow you to sail towards the wind in a series of steps. If you'll not make any headway towards the wind. You'll simply go backwards and forwards along the same line. So ensure that you're sailing close hold. If you push the tiller hard too quickly, there's a risk you'll turn the boat too quickly, and you may not be able to get across the boat in time before you capsize. Failure to straighten the rudder after the maneuver will allow the boat to continue to turn, and you could well end up doing a complete 360-degree turn. Forgetting to duck, well, it hurts. You may consider wearing a hard hat, similar to a canoeist helmet. This is particularly advisable for children. Straightening the rudder too soon when you're still in the no-go zone. This will stop the boat with no drive in the sail, and you'll find yourself completely stuck in irons. Watch our first sail video to see how to deal with this situation. Key learning points. Tacking allows you to turn the boat around by turning across the wind. A series of tacks is called beating and allows you to sail towards the wind. The wind has a zone about 45 degrees either side of where it's blowing from that you can't sail. This is called the no-go zone. When sailing towards the wind, you should be sailing on a close hold point of sailing, with the sail pulled in hard and not flapping. Before tacking, you should be sailing as close as possible to the no-go zone. Small tiller movements, not large ones. Identify a new target destination before you start your tack to stop you getting disorientated. Check the area is clear from obstructions. Only tack if it is clear. Effective grip and hand swapping techniques with the tiller and control sheet is one of the key factors to successful tacking. Release a bit of main sheet before you tack to slow the boat down and make it easier to get under the boom. Lead with your back foot to ensure that you face forward throughout the maneuver. Duck under the boom to move onto the new side. Straighten the tiller and then swap hands. And resume the dagger grip once more. Pull the sail back in tight. Find the close hold point of sailing once more. Next steps. Watch this video as many times as necessary in order to understand how to tack. You can also use the script and glossary that accompany this video to help you. Then it's down to practicing. On dry land first to try out the steps, and then out on the water. First time out, avoid winds greater than about 12 miles an hour so that you can get the maneuver at a manageable speed. Practice sailing as close to the no-go zone as you can until the front edge of the mainsail doesn't flap, and then start tacking. Keep tacking from one side of the no-go zone to the other until you feel comfortable with all the steps.
Okay, after those technical difficulties, I think we've managed to get to the other side of it. Back to our patch. Okay, Tolga, do you want to take us through sensible upwind and stuff? I can't hear you, but I don't know if that's just me or if that's others. Might just be me. Harry, can you hear Tolga? Give us a wave if you can hear him. You can, you can. It's just me, I can't hear you. It's fine. Carry on, Tolga.
And the bit that you all laughed at, which was the common mistakes bit, I was smiling at because I took lots of non-sailors out during last summer, and we experienced pretty much all of them, you know, and so they're quite easy to do. So things like, you know, when you're tacking, you know, you tell people to push the tiller away, and they hold it there, you know, so you end up doing a 360, or, you know, once you tell them they need to straighten it up, then on the next tack, they straighten up too early, so then you're stuck in irons. And yes, you know, even though I've told people to duck when the boom comes over, it has hit somebody over the head before. So all of those things happen and are more common than you think. So then the centreboard, really important, especially in some of the smaller dinghies where you're controlling that. So when you're trying to go upwind, you need as much resistance from that centreboard as possible. So it needs to be down fully all the way. Otherwise, all that will happen is that the wind will just start pushing you across the top of the water, and you won't be able to keep your bearing. When you're going across the wind, so the beam reach, halfway, somewhere in the middle, so is it enough there? Or you can leave it fully down, many people do. And then when you're going downwind, you have it out to reduce any drag, because you don't need it at that point. The wind's coming from behind, you'll hold your course. So actually what you want to do is you want to reduce the drag. So
Not
just
out.
Sorry?
Or you'll be in a world of pain.
Yeah, I think.
It up. So difference between centerboards and daggerboards.
Sorry, I didn't hear that, any of that.
Oh, sorry, Tugger. What the only point Chris was trying to make was if you have a dagger board, not a centerboard, you want to leave a little bit of dagger board out.
Yeah, yeah. So the easy way to remember that in relation to your sails are, if your sails are, you know, if you're sheeted in, your sails are pulled in tight, then that dagger board is fully in. You know, if you're going downwind and the sails are out, you know, then that centerboard or the dagger board is mostly up or out. And that was it really. So on to the next slide. Yeah, so we've got another little video, and then we'll pick up the points on trim with that.
You should be sitting in the boat well forward, like this, and with the tiller extension in the dagger grip in front of your body. This leaves your other hand to control the main sheet. Avoid sitting too far back. It may feel comfortable, but you'll find it difficult to turn around and the boat will not sail as effectively in the water. You should be able to gently push and pull the tiller extension to turn the boat. Keep these movements small and always return the tiller to the straight position as your default. Remember that the boat will turn with even the smallest amount of angle on the tiller. Pushing the tiller towards the boom will turn the nose or bow of the boat towards the wind. This is called luffing up. And pulling the tiller away from the boom will make the bow of the boat turn away from the wind. This is called bearing away. The easiest point to get a feel for steering, starting and stopping is to position your boat so the wind is blowing across the boat at 90 degrees. This point of sailing is called a beam reach. Search the channel for the next section of this video. And if you found this video interesting, please don't forget to like us, as this will allow us to...
Right, so to get back to those points about where to sit the boat, when you're going upwind, so on that, when you're close haul, really sit as far forward up in the boat as you can. One thing that does, especially in a small boat, is it takes the front end and stops the lateral movement. You're going across the wind on a big reach,